Good morning, I am Adam Harris, and this is the day ahead. Aside from CAD employment figures at 1:30 p.m, there's little else on the economic calendar. Currencies in play, the eyes are going to be on G7 discussions today. And with regards to commodities, global indices, and equities in focus, the key question is, will there be a reaction today, or will we finish strong? Don't forget, you can click on the time link in the description below to jump to that chapter. Good morning. On the economic calendar for today, Friday, the 8th of June, there's just drawing your attention to the G7 meeting throughout the day, and potentially that comments made from this or tweets coming out of it may potentially create some stirrings in the market. There's not much expected really until 1:30 p.m, which is just a lot of Canadian news, and this week seems to have been the most around Canadian dollar news, but just the possibility of high impact and medium impact news impacting the Canadian dollar at this time. In the currency markets, just seeing that we have this US dollar index starting to pull back further. So the expectation is over the next week to 2 weeks that we'll see ourselves potentially pull back as far as 92. So expectation is to see what happens with that. Euro, US dollar, also looking, expectation here is to see us pulling back up towards 1.2, potentially as far as 1.22, but much more reasonable to expect us to head in towards the previous highs at 1.2 there. Then having a look at cable. Cable again, my expectation is over the coming 1 to 2 weeks that we'll be moving further, possibly as high as 1.37, but just ticking along today, seeing how there's no massive news such as non-farm payroll today, so not really expecting anything other than to see it going. Of course, Brexit is back on the table. Discussions going heavy. Combined with G7, we might see some volatility in the markets there. Euro Swissy, just noticing we keep producing bearish candles in the sell zone here, and a bearish candle here. Break of the low of this, we might see price move lower. However, of course, if we don't do that, it makes sense to see Euro Swissy moving a little bit higher again and changing the finishing of the weekly candle. Aussie CAD, just seeing a bit more of a pullback down here, combined with the Canadian news that's coming out at 1:30 today. Just waiting for clarity on this trend at the moment. We might actually see the price pulls back down into the moving averages, or alternatively decides to continue onwards. And finishing just briefly with Euro Yen and Pound Yen. So this whole week and parts of last week waiting for a nice strong bearish candle below these levels. We finally get this bearish candle here, but at the same time my concern is, although we are still kind of technically in a downtrend here of lower highs, lower lows, we haven't produced a higher low, higher high. The problem is that this pullback is very, very high. The weekly candle is looking nice and bullish. So what we have here is actually a combination of strength and weakness, and waiting on clarity on that. So I'll be monitoring this, but a break of the low of this would traditionally be an indication that we're going to move lower. However, we've got these mixed signals on the just producing such a strong bullish move this week. It's the same on Pound Yen. Bearish candle here, break of the low of this would traditionally be an indication that we'll continue to move to the downside next week. So we'll be keeping an eye on this throughout the day. Will we ignore that bullish candle, bearish candle, and break to the upside? We'll have to find out. So just a little bit of clarity should be coming out of the markets today. In the commodities, and starting off with carbon emission, we produced a bullish candle on the buy zone here. We had the strong rejection candle, plus we also had divergence on that. We've produced a bullish candle. We've broken the high of that, so it looks currently as though this market is going to attempt to push higher and make another run at 16.5 for the day. So otherwise, that looking more bullish than bearish. New York Cocoa resumed its downtrend. It's still quite bearish. So we had the potential yesterday. We did not break the high of this bullish candle. We didn't begin a retracement or any kind of a swing low there. Looks instead to continue to weaken during the day. Lower time frames, 1 hour or less, looking to be offering shorting opportunities there as well. Cotton, we got our bullish candle excuse me, in the buy zone. We broke the high of it in a very aggressive fashion. Very strong move to the upside, looking nice and strong there. Will we find we encounter resistance at 95 or 96 today? We'll find out for that, but still wanting to push up higher. And the crude oil is very, very interesting because we've currently got a bullish candle on the weekly. I'll go have a look at that in a moment. And we've got a bearish candle on the sell zone here. So we might find that the US crude oil decides to dip a little bit lower and change the final closing of this week's bullish candle. Was expecting a bullish candle last week. We're looking as though we're going to get it this week. And a break of the high of this next week, if we get a bullish finish, means likely to see US crude oil pushing upwards. UK crude oil, on the other hand, looking much more bullish. So the question is, will this candle ultimately finish more indecisive or more bearish, or will it finish bullish as it currently is looking to unfold? UK crude oil looking much more bullish, certainly. All right, so this is something I'll be keeping an eye on, continuing this to the upside today. On the global indices, and starting off with Wall Street, just expectation yesterday was to continue to tick up. What we've actually got here is we have a little bit of bullish candles forming on the 8-hourly time frame, just seeing that we did have those actually happen on Wall Street and US techs. Will we see a continuation to the upside? So today is going to be a relatively interesting day. Principally, we're still looking bullish, and unless something unexpected happens, expectation is for today is to still finish strong. However, just noting that if we do get these bearish candles and a break below the low of that, we might be setting up next week for a pullback down into recent levels and then a continuation throughout the rest of next week. Just having a look at that, and then US Tech 100 similarly now looks as though it's produced a bearish candle. Break of the low of this might see price pull back down at the shallowest to 7,100 or certainly down to 7,000. So this is it's a perfectly healthy move in general circumstances, but I would like to see how we finish off the week. Then looking at the UK 100, we've just got these mixed signals. We had a rejection candle, bearish candle, then fully bullish, then fully bearish. So now actually looking as though it's potentially wanting to move to the downside. So this just mixed signals on this side of the pond. EU stocks as well. Bearish candle, very strong bullish candle yesterday, and then strong bearish candle. So just clearly showing indecision, very much mixed signals. Although overall we were looking a lot better, we seem to have returned to that uncertainty again, where the market strongly bullish, then very strongly bearish again on Germany 30. So same thing there, just market now just waiting on it. And quick thing, it's going to be interesting today to see what we do. Do we get a bullish finish for the week, or does that bearishness that's returned yesterday follow through today? Same thing, finishing off on the US small cap 2000 on the indices, seeing a bearish or red candle there at least, still actually technically a bit bullish, but do we see price pull back in a healthy fashion to 1650 today? Do we see a strong move to the downside, which changes the weekly candle a little bit, but currently still trending upwards? Question is, do we move back down into the moving averages again to continue with a bullish candle next week to the upside? Having a look at the equities in focus and starting off with Apple, just seeing a bit of a strong sort of a red candle there, which is also bullish, but we might find a break of the low of that being a pullback into the 190 levels. This can usually be an indication of at least a consolidation or a potential retracement. So today will give us some clarity on that. Amazon, same thing again. We actually spoke this week about getting a large candle being the finish plus an indecision candle. We've had a break of the low of that. Traditionally speaking, this is a good point for price to retrace back to 1650 and retest these levels. And then having a look at Facebook. We had a bullish candle on the buy zone yesterday, followed actually by a bearish finish instead of a follow through and a break to the upside. However, we are now back into the previous highs. Today, a bullish candle would set us up for a break of the high that on Monday, pushing higher. So the key thing with these charts so far is that we had an unexpected sort of reversal yesterday. We did not have a continuation. However, the trends are still healthy. Today is going to be make or break. It's really going to be a question of, do we get a bullish recovery, or do we continue the bearishness, which then changes the game for next week across the board? It's going to be very interesting. Then on to Ocado. What I really like this week is we did have that really strong move. We spoke about the idea of it taking another run at that level. Came up towards 1,000, a bit of a rejection yesterday. Just noticing a bit of bearish divergence off that rejection. The question is today, will it make another run at that, or if we get a stronger bearish pullback, would imply a deeper pullback over next week. So today, again, another chart that's going to give us some potential clarity this week. Vodafone, significant drop yesterday and now dropping below 190, which is the floor for this monthly range on the lower end. My concern now is if we continue down, we may actually find we work ourselves over the coming months to much lower numbers. I'd really like to see a stronger recovery today. So again, a bearish follow through today changes the game significantly, certainly for Vodafone. Alibaba, we've got a very nice now natural healthy pullback into the moving averages, coming back down to 200. There is some good reason to find support here. So again, today it's going to be very interesting if we get a bullish finish on this, which traditionally my expectation is we'd get a stronger finish today. A bullish candle looking to set up to continue to the upside next week. However, if we fail to get that and get a deeper pullback on this chart and across the other charts, the game changes potentially for next week, and we'll have to see how that goes. So I'll be sitting out on the sidelines today to see what actually happens, where this uncertainty is coming from and how it's going to play itself out. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I want to wish you a wonderful weekend, and we will see you on Monday.